I'll now call to order the August 24th, 2026 City of Abilene, Kansas City Commission meeting. Shayla, may we please have a roll call?
Mayor Ryan,
Here.
Commissioner Taylor,
Here.
Commissioner Lytle,
Here.
Commissioner Meisenberg,
Here.
Commissioner Kohlhoff is absent. Roll call complete.
Okay, if we could please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and our next item is approval of today's agenda. And I would make a motion to approve the agenda with moving item 9B, which is the KDOT C-CLIP updates from 9B to 8D.
I'll second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any commission discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Vice Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Commissioner Kohlhoff.
Aye.
Commissioner Lytle.
Yes.
Commissioner Meisenberg.
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carries. Our next item is a consent agenda, which consists of the meeting minutes for the August 10th, 2026 City Commission meeting, appropriation ordinance A-082426-26, and the AP payment register.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
I'll second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any commission discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Kohlhoff.
Nay.
Commissioner Lytle.
Yes.
Commissioner Meisenberg.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carries. Our next item under heading 6, public comments communications, is 6A, a public forum. If there's anyone that would like to address the commission on an item not on our current agenda, they may do so at this time. Okay, good. You'd please state your name and address for us.
Bruce Johnson, 524 Ridge Road. I want to thank you guys for doing basically an impossible job. We don't have enough money to do everything we wished we could, but every time you say yes to something, you say no to several other things too at the same time, and I know you realize that. I'm going to bring up a couple of things. One of them is, and we walk by this all the time, the library, city office building here, and the gable ends are, I know I've mentioned this before, but the gable ends are breaking down. Underneath, they're probably rotting. I think it's been going on for several years. They put comment they weren't built right in the first place. They weren't flashed correctly. Also, the southeast corner of the library is, wow, if that was the front of our building, everybody'd be screaming, I think, to get something done about that. But I'd suggest that we take a look at that, because this is our house. We want to take care of our house. The other thing is the drainage on the northwest 17th Street. Gary Boyd lives right in that inside corner there. I know you're aware of that. I've driven around it. To me, it's just kind of a fun project to look at because it doesn't cost me anything. But I've heard the numbers from, I think, Olson Engineering of around $2 million to fix the problem. I'm not sure where that number actually comes from. Don't know that an official survey has been done. Of course, it needs to be done. But I suppose we have to do that. As a farmer, I know what I'd do. I'd go fix it. I'd get out my cat and work around the northwest corner of Gary's house. Actually, I'd just have Gary call his brother, and they'd have it fixed in about half a day, I'm quite sure. The other choice is at $2 million. If that is the number to fix it, I just buy his house. You know, he might just take $1 million for it and be happy to move someplace else and turn it into a nice little park. And again, the boys would take care of the problem really fast. Anyway, that's my comments. I appreciate you listening to me. Oh, the other thing that is probably a reasonable answer, and Olson will be able to tell how much of that problem could be taken care of by just doing a retention pond on kind of the west edge of the area right between O'Reilly's Auto Parts and AutoZone. I think it is, where the big tree is low leaning over. That's where a lot of it drains down. It's amazing how much drains, the area that drains there. I'm surprised. But if we could take care of 50% of that, maybe that's all it really needs. That certainly wouldn't be 2 million. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that would like to address an item not on our current agenda? I think that actually, that you guys are actually on the agenda.
Oh, are we? Okay.
Yeah, if you, yeah. Yep.
You're under 7B.
Yep, I just wanted to make sure before I said that.
Wendy Moulton, Library Director. I just wanted to briefly let everyone know we're having this Wednesday at noon in this room an accessibility conversation. It's part of our grant that we have to put handicap buttons on our restroom doors downstairs. We're having a community conversation kind of just about accessibility in Abilene in general. So anyone who is either has a disability or works with people with disabilities, or even business or community members who want to hear about like some of the issues some people have, hopefully we'll have a good representation of all those types of people. And I also have a Zoom link option if anyone can't make it out of their house. They can just call the library and we can get that link to them. So this Wednesday at noon.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that would like to address the commission on an item not on our current agenda? Okay. Seeing none, we will move to heading 7, unfinished business. 7A, consider agreement with Clear Career Professionals for City Manager Executive Recruitment Services. Interim City Manager Quinde.
Thank you. Following the city commission's interviews of 3 firms, it was the majority of the commission indicated support for proceeding with Clear Career Professionals, contingent on them agreeing to extend their placement guarantee from 1 year to 18 months. They subsequently agreed to that 18-month placement guarantee at no additional cost. Their proposal provides comprehensive executive recruitment services for a fixed fee of $30,000. The fee is all-inclusive and covers the recruitment services and related expenses identified in the proposal, including development of recruitment materials, advertising, consultant travel, candidate due diligence, candidate-related expenses associated with finalist interviews, including travel, lodging, meals. Those are not included in the fixed fee. The city attorney reviewed the agreement, asked for a few changes, which they made, and then we subsequently asked that section 2.5 be revised to expressly identify that a criminal history and credit checks are part of the finalist due diligence. They confirmed that in writing, but because of the language, wanted to make sure that that was in the agreement, and that is included within the $30,000 fixed fee. The revised agreement was sent to the city commission last week. So we are asking the city commission to approve the agreement with Clear Career Professionals for the city manager recruitment services and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement. Also to note that their proposal schedule is approximately 12 weeks.
Do you have any questions for staff on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any commission discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to roll call vote. Commissioner Lytle,
Yes.
Commissioner Meisenberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Kolhoff.
Aye.
Myself, yes, motion carries. Our next item is 7B, consider sale process for city-owned property on North Vine. Interim City Manager Quinde.
Thank you. At July 27th meeting, Cindy Peterson addressed the city commission during public comments, indicating her and her husband Wally's interest in a property adjacent to their property on North Vine Street. She gave a comprehensive explanation of what they want to do with that property. The commission authorized staff to start negotiating a purchase price with the Petersons. However, since then, Mr. Stillwagon contacted the city and expressed his interest in purchasing the same property. Mr. Stillwagon also has an adjoining property to the one in question. So the city's purchasing policy requires the city commission approval for the sale or disposition of an interest in any real property. So given the interest of both adjoining property owners, staff recommends that we discontinue the previously authorized negotiated sale process and then offer the property through a sealed bid process where they can submit a bid by an established deadline. We're asking for the city commission's direction on what they would like us to do, either offer the property through a sale bid process, continue with the previously authorized process for staff to negotiate a sale with the Petersons, direct us to use another process, or determine that the city no longer wishes to sell the property and will retain it. If the commission decides that they would like us to proceed with a sealed bid process, we'll need to know if the dollar amount is the only factor in consideration, or if you also want to know what the proposed use of the property is as part of that sealed bid process. We would also recommend that any sealed bid that the proposer would be responsible for a survey of the land in question. So there's an actual legal description for the lot and also for the closing cost and title insurance. That way there would be no cost to the city to sell the property. And I believe the Cindy and Wally are in here and Mr. Stillwagon are here if the commission would like to hear from them.
Yeah, do you guys have anything that you want to? Okay. You can just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Rob Stillwagon, 1014 North Cedar Street. Good afternoon, mayor, staff, and council members. As said, I am the adjacent property owner to the south and also have access to that property. I have shown interest in purchasing that parcel for many years while the city has owned it and had no plans for selling. Now that you have moved forward with the plans to sell, I am also interested, as stated. I respectfully ask you to consider a sealed bid process by way of selling it, allowing any interested parties a fair and equal opportunity to make that purchase. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Wally, Cindy, either of you want to speak as well? Okay.
My name's Wally Peterson, live at 709 Northwest 11th and Abilene here. And we own the property north of that and also on the east side of it, because we own the frontage of the property that he's wanting to buy. Now, let me give you a little story. We approached Jane Foltz about buying this years ago. And the next thing we know, somebody's told him about it. So he's coming in and trying to take it away from us then. And now he's trying to do the same thing. I don't know how he's getting these information when we're trying to mess with it. But 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And that's why we stopped working for the property, because we wasn't sure what the outcome was going to be. And now we'd like to get it because we want to add it to the property that we got for our plans and that. But my thinking's right now, if you went up to Home Chevrolet and you were dealing on a car they had for sale and somebody come in and said, whoa, wait a minute, I'm going to bid on that car. I want that car. So are you going to just let them have it? Or are you going to let us try to finish our deal? That's my thought. Now my wife's got something to say. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cindy Peterson, 709 Northwest 11th. As you know, I did present. I have worked on the back end, both directions, 6 years ago and now, to present that to you, to tell you what my plan was, what the cost was going to be, and what the overall cost for the expense is going to be, about $2,500 on top of that. The property does need to be cleaned up. I know Mr. Stillwagon wants it cleaned up just as bad as we do, but we do have a plan for that property to bring in more revenue down the line of the property. Whoever buys it, if you decide to sell it, you're going to right now give them the same tax value as it is. So I hope you consider that down the road, that let us go ahead and finish our deal that we have started. I've already explained to you what the cost was. That is going to be more than the land value is worth. But we are willing to take that expense and do that cleanup, get it so we can do our plan of doing the duplex, making more revenue, bringing more property tax. Mr. Stewwagon is telling us that he's planning on building a house on his. Why did he not? And he's working with the city to get filings and the paperwork he needs. Why didn't he approach the city then? He approached it after we did 6 years ago, and he approached it this time after. Why did he not at that time say, I want to be interested in that land? He waited until he found out we were. So I'm not saying he doesn't want it, but we have made the deal, and I have pursued letting everyone know that we would like that land. I have done the initiative work. Please consider letting the deal go through. Thank you for your time.
Any thoughts from the commission on process for the sale?
I think, just to kind of clear the air, I don't know, I guess, what discussions any of the parties might have had with the city, but I think we need to make it clear there is no deal. There has never been any deal. Any deal has to come through us as a public body. So I just want to make sure. And as from that perspective, you know, certainly you guys, it looks like you kind of have the properties surrounded there. But I think for our role, we need to let the public have, anybody in the public have an opportunity to purchase that property. And I think really what I would like to see is something similar to what we have in place for the land bank, where if they don't develop it within a year or have a permit to build, then it gets reverted back to the city. So that's kind of my feeling. I'm all for building property. I don't think the city has any real need to do this other than it's kind of a weird wart that somebody probably has to mow. So I think we open it up to the public. We do the sealed bid, and whether it's one of these parties or another party, I think everybody needs to have a fair shot at it. And then I would like some sort of requirement. I mean, it seems like there's some urgency right now to build on it. So I'd say let's put that into the agreement. And I'm open to the discussion on that, whether that's, maybe you guys would want some input on that, but we could take that in the bids, whether it's a year or 2 or 5. I think we just kind of want to have an understanding of what's going on there.
I think treating it like the land bank,
Yeah.
piece of property makes total sense.
I don't know if it makes total sense, but at least it's consistent.
It's the process that's in place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm okay further in discussion on this too. Like I said, there's no necessary hurry to get it done. I think a fair way to do it would be to discuss it maybe at a study session sometime and talk about it and put that process in place so we can coherently talk to staff and get that process figured out.
May I ask what the land bank, that ruling is?
Nope, you want to take that?
Cindy Peterson, 709 Northwest. What is the land bank?
The land bank owns like the Highlands lots that were redeveloped out there. You know, they sat vacant except for that one duplex for 15 years, I think. So there's certain rules that are in place. There's the land bank is actually a separate institution, separate from the city, but we also represent the land bank. So it overlaps, I guess, as far as the representation on that board. But it basically allows us to hold that property without paying property tax and that sort of thing on it. So it's not too terribly different from city property, except that it is typically held out there for sale, not just, you know, like a park or something would be, if that makes sense.
So you're saying though, but I guess the other part you were talking about is once it sells, you're wanting to put a date on when the building has to start, or then it converts back?
Yeah,
Is that
sure.
what you were?
There's something in the land bank code right now, or the covenants there that, and I'm kind of looking at our legal counsel. I believe it's maybe a year, and there's another gentleman in the audience who might have a better idea right off the top of his head. But I'm not saying that we use those exact numbers. I'm saying we have to have. It seems like there's a lot of fire right now to get that developed. So I'd like to keep that fire going, and I feel like putting that deadline in place helps to accomplish that. So if that's part of our process, we leave that open and say maybe it does match the land bank, maybe you get to make your own proposal, the other gentleman gets to make his own proposal, and anybody else who wants to bid gets to make their proposal. And then I think the commission just considers all those relevant factors.
So
we
at
choose
the
to
end
sell.
of that, if the land is not developed, you take the land back?
That is a possibility anyway. I would say that's at least something that we're discussing right here today.
Okay.
So I think I know this is kind of unfortunate, but you two are probably the most likely buyers for that property based off of what I'm seeing on the map here. And it's, sometimes that's what happens with neighbors, I guess, but, I think the way I look at it, there's going to be some other legal and access issues if it doesn't go to one of you two. But I do want to make sure that we are pushing that forward for the desired objective, which is to get it developed.
Okay, so you don't think that me coming and you telling me to sell the land, that was a deal the other day?
I personally don't. I think and again, I didn't have all the details. It seems like maybe you had some discussions with some other folks, but I mean, this is the group that makes the decision. And so I think the way I took that, and I'm not saying that I understood it perfectly, was you wanted to see if the city had a willingness to sell. The city said, yes, we have a willingness to sell. Let's move forward. And so
That was my interpretation too, was that we would be willing to sell it. That's how I look at it.
Okay.
And that a deal was gonna get negotiated with the city or start the negotiation, but it was for sale is how I took it.
Yeah, 'cause prior to that, there was really no indication that it
So it
was for
wasn't
sale.
put in the newspaper as being sold?
I didn't read it. Did it?
I can't speak for the newspaper,
Yeah,
but I
me
can
either.
tell you that it certainly wasn't sold.
No, it was.
It would then.
That's what,
Let me talk. The direction that city staff got was to negotiate a deal with the Petersons and then bring that back for the commission's consideration. So that was the step we were in, is negotiating. At the time I sent the Petersons one saying we're halting the process until we get direction from the commission. We still had not received an offer. So the process we were in was, yes, you can negotiate with them, and we're waiting for an offer. Steve going. And as Commissioner Koloff stated, that any offer would have to be approved by the city.
My speaking. Peterson 709 Northwest 11th Street. We did have a bid all set up and a proposal for it and everything, but we were told that we didn't need to send it in because we had to come through this little meeting. But another thing too, is we were dealing with Jane Foltz, and at the time, she was supposed to talk to the lawyer and get back to us. And we never did hear on that. And like I said,
well, the only.
I don't know where we stand.
Is the city manager is the one that sent me an email and said that Mr. Stillwagon found it out in the Abilene Public in the
Okay.
newspaper that it was sold. So that's why.
Yeah, and we don't have any control over what they write.
Okay.
I was just as shocked to see that as well, because it's like, well, we never approved anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Cindy, I know this is probably uncomfortable, certainly with you in the hot seat here, but I feel like this is probably the best process for selling any city property. I mean, that's kind of what we do with any old machinery that we use. We put it out for public bid. So I know that's kind of uncomfortable. I do feel like it is the best process and avoids any favoritism or perceived favoritism. So I guess that's the direction that I would like city staff to go.
Yeah, and I know that you guys had stated that you would talk to Jane Foltz, and I think that's part of the issue is there was so much turnover in that role, is, because I know Mr. Stillwagon had also spoken to, I don't think it was Jane, I think it was somebody after, just because I got looped into one of those conversations as well, and it never went anywhere. And I think that was part of the reason was it was just never really taken to that next step of actually going to sell it, which would make sense to transfer it from the city to the land bank and then offer it up for sale. It had just never made it that far. But I do remember, both of those scenarios happening.
So does it have to go to a sale bid or can it go to the auction?
I would look at that as kind of the same process. I mean, kind of the venue is I mean, I don't know. I think the difference really, I mean, if we're doing an auction, all we're talking about is money, and we're gonna have to put all those conditions on that as the seller, if that makes sense. So if we say, hey, you have to have a house on it in 2 years, you have to have it cleared, all the trees cleared off in 1 year or whatever. If you go to an auction, I think we're limited to just the money amount. I think if you do a sealed bid, we can consider all those factors. I'm not, there's probably one that's better and one that's worse, but
Because I'd like to know what Mr. Stillwagon's opportunity or what he plans on doing with that land.
well, I
Because
guess,
you guys know what I want to do.
yeah, I think
but
that's
he will
really,
not present what he wanted to do with that land.
yeah, and I think, so that's the process of the sealed bid. So whether it's yourself or Mr. Stillwagon, Bruce Johnson.
Well,
he decides he wants to-
somebody's already told him what I'm going to do with the land, so I'd like to know what his opinion is, because is he going to be able to develop it with me owning the property in the front?
Well,
It's in the flood zone?
I don't know that this is probably the right venue to discuss all that. And so, like I said, I think our job is to find a process for putting the property out for sale. And I think the sealed bid makes the most sense. And I think in that sealed bid, we're going to probably request some information, and that information, I believe, becomes public. So if Mr. Stillwagon says what he's going to do with it, then that would be public at that time. So again, I know it's
There's got to be property built on it within 2 years. What if we don't plan on building on it? We plan on building over on the other side that we own that's bigger, and then use that as maybe a garage or just yard.
Yeah, again, I think when we get these sealed bids, my anticipation is that you'll tell us everything you want to do with it. We'll consider it at face value and decide which way to go forward. So there's a lot of what ifs there.
Yeah, but you're the one saying 2 years to build on.
Yeah.
City Attorney Martin, could you kind of advise on, do you recall off the top of your head what those land bank requirements were?
Yes, the requirements that you're speaking to are a unique set of rules that were approved by the commission applicable to Golden Belt West and East as part of the program to place those into private owners and developers' hands. And from a contractual standpoint, any buyer of a lot or lots in those subdivisions must agree to not only build something that meets certain minimum specifications approved by the city, but they must fulfill certain covenants, including, among other things, I believe, getting a building permit for a residence within a specified period of time. I don't remember what it is. And then diligently pursuing that to completion within another specified period of time, which could be 1 to 2 years, whatever that is. And in the event they fail to do that, there's a host of remedies available to the city, one of which is the property can revert back. Relatively extraordinary remedy, but that is included in the contract and the deed as one of the city's options. So it's unique to that, either that set of rules or any other that the city wishes to impose and a party agrees to can be imposed as a deed covenant when we transfer property.
City Manager Quinde, are there any, I guess, unforeseen consequences of transferring a property like that into the land bank
I'm not
that
familiar.
I'm
off
not?
the Top of my head with the land bank process and procedure, but, and I'd have to check with the city attorney that you could also just issue a request for bids. And within that request for bids, put in there certain requirements that you'll consider with those bids. Plan is that type of stuff that the commissioner will go off with.
Because I think that is an important aspect to it when you're selling city-owned land, I guess what the intent is for it. So having a true auction doesn't always make the most sense.
So is the direction to bring this back to a study session,
Would that,
figure out a process?
yeah, would that need to be rezoned also? Is that municipal? How is that zoned right now?
I believe it's public use right now, or is it RCE?
You can hear that. It is R3 currently. It is split zoned with a large parcel that's associated with the Parks and Recreation parcel. So their public use and this one is actually R3. It'll just, once it gets legal description and surveyed, once it's cut off, it'll stay R3. So high density residential.
I would be fine with going to a study session and at least having a process on these, because yeah, it's not something that comes up very often. So I think we need to have it as set in stone as possible.
Balance it to a study session is my.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
So we can at least have
Yeah.
I guess,
I'll
a
reach out.
plan going forward. Okay, thank you. Okay, and our next item is 7C, consider award of contract Abilene Industrial Park Addition Number 1 infrastructure project. Public Works Director Anderson.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Brad Anderson, Public Works Director. We're here today discussing the Abilene Industrial Park Infrastructure Project. And you all got the agenda sheet, so I'll just touch on the highlights so the public can hear. So the industrial project came in approximately 1,340 linear foot of roadway, sanitary sewer, water line, lift station, and other improvements. The city did receive 4 complete bids that were received and opened on July 30th. Nowak Construction from Goddard, J&K Contracting from Junction City, Smoky Hill out of Salina, and Bots Parga out of Mound Ridge. The apparent low bid of $2,084,132.71 was submitted by Bots Parga. In the process of making sure that everything was sufficient and information was given, Bots Parga identified their qualification checklist and listed their subcontractors, which they all had to do. City purchasing policy provided that construction projects use an invitation for bids. They're awarded to responsible bid offerings of the lowest total cost. This particular policy provides a local preference for Dickinson County vendors only. So in reality, none of the contractors were actually housed within Dickinson County. However, there is a clause that local preference does not apply to any new construction projects, depending on what the status of any of them are. So based on the review and the bids and tabulation, that Bots Parga appears to be the low responsible bidder. Contract documents have been looked at by City Attorney Martin. Part of the money for financial reasons of the funding source was the KDOC grant for $1,603,000 and some change, and then remaining costs for geotemporary obligation notes. So the question that we're going to have and propose a decision for you to put on is whether we accept the Bots Parga construction bid in the low amount of $2,084,132. And if not, provide direction to staff on how we'd want to go from there on. If you have any questions, Jared Loomis is there from Olson Engineering. He's the one that put the bid tabulation together, double checked all references, basically went through the whole project for us. So if you want to have any questions or discussion about any of the process that took place.
Questions for staff on this item?
Those errors weren't the low bid. They weren't on the low bid, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I assume they were resolved.
I believe so.
Okay. Is there any reason why we wouldn't accept the bid?
In my personal opinion, no reason. I think we checked into reference work. Jared did a lot of phone interviews with other projects they'd done, visited with city managers, other city public works directors, project coordinators for the references that they gave, and everything. We didn't find any disqualifying factors.
And do you have any, I guess, history of working with them?
No, I
Previously.
do not.
Okay.
I may have had a little hindsight, but wasn't really involved in my previous job at Blue Jay Way and over around the Junction City High School, Middle School roundabout area.
Okay.
But I wasn't really 100% involved in that construction side of things at that time.
Jared, would you be able to give kind of an overview of your findings and discussion with those other city managers, city staff?
Jared
With the new-
Lewis Olson. Yeah.
New entity, it could be helpful.
Yeah, so I would say as a part of any process like this, we get the apparent low bid and we start to look at qualifications for the apparent low bid, looking at subcontractors, project experience. So I submitted that to Vokes Parga. They provided all of those sheets back. And so then I started calling the references that they had. I didn't check every single project and reference that they had, but I had a good sampling of projects, making sure they had some similar experience, and their subs did as well. As Brad mentioned, I found no disqualifying factors. I hadn't worked with Vokes Parga and some of their subs before, so I called even more than I would say typical, just to get some feelings. The people I talked to, because my biggest question to every one of them is, well, would you hire them back? Everyone said yes. So that to me is, I don't have any reason to not, hence the, recommendation for reward is what we came up with. So yeah, any other questions I'm happy to answer through the process or anything else.
There was a mention of the Junction City project. I think there was maybe one of the other bidders who sent out an email. I'm not sure if everybody received that, but they mentioned the Blue Jay Way project, I think, that Brad referenced, and I spoke with the city engineer over there, and he said everything was fine. He said there was one issue with some grass they couldn't get to grow, and then
Because they didn't water it.
Oh, well, I don't know what the story was, but the GC basically overpaid the school district to take care of it outside of the contract. So just as kind of another reference point, I think they handled themselves professionally.
Yeah, I mean, and to be clear, nothing will ever go perfect. I'm sure this project will have its things we work through. But yeah, as I said, everyone said they would hire him back. That's kind of my biggest box that I look to be checked.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Have any further questions for staff? Brad, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, not really. The only other thing is I was just going to mention that as an engineer, probable cause estimate that the bid was, or the estimated cost was going to be 2.423. One bid came in a little higher than that, and the other three came in. And what's amazing to me is that two of the bids came in when you're talking to the 2.1 something million dollars. Two of the bids were within $100 of each other. So, but I just wanted to say I appreciate all of them from putting in, and a couple of the other ones have done a lot of work in town, and much appreciated. Can't say anything bad, but under recommendation of what's best for the city, I think it's our job and duty to recommend the low bid. So.
Yeah, I read through all the bids and they were very close, and that just goes to show you that they put in all the due diligence up front for estimating and quoting. So yeah, kudos to them. And I don't see any reason why we wouldn't go with the low bid on this one either, based on the due diligence that Olson's put in on reference checks.
I'll just go ahead and make the motion to approve the award of the Abilene Industrial Park Edition #1 in the amount of $2,084,132.71 to Vokes Parga.
I'll second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any commission discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to do a roll call vote. Commissioner Meisenberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Koloff.
Aye.
Commissioner Lytle,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carries. Our next item is 7D, 2027 Proposed Budget and Financial Plan. Interim City Manager Quinde.
Thank you. Over the past several months, the commission has reviewed the 27 budget fund by fund and discussed operations, personnel, capital and equipment needs, property taxes, and the city's financial condition. I don't intend to repeat all that today. I just want to briefly highlight what this budget provides, what changed from 2026, and where it leaves the city financially. There are two complementary documents in your packet. First are what we refer to as the state workbook. They're the 2027 proposed state budget forms that has the statutory budget information that, once approved by the city commission, is submitted to the state of Kansas. The other one is the 2027 proposed annual budget and financial plan, which provides the context behind the numbers, explains the services, staffing, capital needs, property taxes, reserves, and the city's continuing financial recovery. The first thing I wanted to emphasize is what this budget is and what it is not. This is a stabilization budget. It's not an expansion or restoration budget. The budget provides for the city's day-to-day operations and maintains our existing services, but it does so at the reduced operating baseline that was established beginning in 2025 and further lowered in mid-2025, which continued through the 2026 budget. Key points from the 2027 budget is approximately $395,000 in identified operating expenditures. Our expenditure reductions remain in place. Those are from the general fund. The eliminated public works and police officer positions are not restored. Reduced maintenance and preventative maintenance funding continues. The budget provides a 3% COLA for city employees, following no COLA in 2026. But it includes approximately $3 million in planned capital investment. The city's making about $3.1 million in capital investments, but much of that is possible because of grants, dedicated funding, the general obligation temporary notes, and previously authorized financing, not because the general fund has recovered. At the same time, approximately $1.348 million in identified general fund capital and equipment needs remain deferred. About $795,000 in capital projects and $500,000 in equipment. The bottom line is this is stabilization. It's not restoring our previous levels of maintenance and preventative maintenance, and it's not an expansion. The most visible change from the 2026 budget is the proposed tax levy. The proposed levy is 50.271 mils compared to 48.039 mils adopted for 2026. The difference is 2.232 mils, and that entire increase is attributable to the 27th biweekly payroll that falls in calendar year 2027, which occurs about every 11 years. You can see there on the graphic in front of you, the 48,039, the 27th payroll, and that's how we get there. Without the 27th payroll, the proposed 27 levy would remain flat at the 48.039 mils, the same levy adopted for 2026. What the 27th payroll does not represent is it does not add employees, it does not increase pay rates, it does not expand city services. It funds the existing workforce for 27 biweekly payrolls rather than the normal 26. The 27th payroll should not be confused with the 3% COLA. The COLA does increase employee pay rates and is included in the proposed budget. The 27th payroll is a separate calendar-related expense. Of the 50.271 mils, 8.22 mils are dedicated to the Abilene Public Library, leaving 42 mils for other city purposes. The total city property tax requirement, 50.271 mils for the city and the library, is $3.6 million. Even with that proposed budget, it's important to be clear where the city actually stands financially. The immediate decline has been stabilized, but financial capacity has not been restored. The proposed general fund ending reserve is approximately $240,000. City policy calls for a minimum of approximately $804,000. That means our proposed ending reserve is only about 30% of the city's policy's minimum. Also, the proposed budget includes no general fund contingency. City policy calls for a contingency within the general fund of $100,000 to $200,000. And as I mentioned before, approximately $1.3 million in identified general fund capital and equipment needs remain deferred. The action that we've taken since 2025 has stabilized the immediate financial situation. We're no longer building budgets around continued deterioration of the funds, but we have not restored the reserves or financial capacity that a financially sustainable budget should provide. A significant equipment failure, unexpected expenditure, or revenue shortfall would still be difficult to absorb without reducing something else or drawing further on already limited reserves. That's why I think it's equally important to identify what this budget does not solve. The adoption of a balanced 2027 budget should not create the impression that the city's financial recovery is complete. 4 things remain. General fund reserves are substantially below policy. Reduced maintenance and preventative maintenance funding continues. Significant equipment, capital, and infrastructure needs remain deferred, and the city has limited capacity to absorb unexpected cost or revenue shortfalls. Stabilization of the budget should not be confused with financial sustainability. That brings us to the next steps in the budget process. The budget before you today remains proposed. The required revenue neutral rate hearing and budget hearing are scheduled for September 14th, 4 o'clock here in the library. Following those hearings and taking public comment, the commission will consider adoption of the final 2027 budget and property tax levy, keeping in mind that the proposed property tax levy is based on an estimated valuation from the county. The actual valuation is not certified until mid-November. In summary, the proposed budget continues the stabilization work that we began in 2025. It provides for day-to-day operation and existing services and makes selected capital investments where grants, dedicated revenues, and financing make those possible. But it does not restore your reserves. It continues reduced maintenance levels, deferred equipment and capital needs, and the city's overall financial capacity. The proposed levy is 50.271 mils, and the entire 2.232 mil increase over 2026 is attributable to the 27th payroll. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
We have any questions for staff on this item?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our next item under heading 8, new business, is 8A. Consider approval of ordinance number 26-3486, an ordinance authorizing the sale, consumption, and possession of alcoholic liquor at specified locations on the public right-of-way and approving the closure of certain streets for the Abilene Oktoberfest. City Clerk Moore.
Mayor, Commissioners, this is the ordinance that's required for the Oktoberfest to be able to close city streets and have alcohol in city streets and public rights of way for the Oktoberfest. The state requires this for them to be issued their temporary alcohol license.
Just so I'm clear, the ordinance that we passed allows basically any public property to be used for such a purpose, but this is just so they can get the license.
The ordinance that we passed covers city property, but it doesn't cover rights of way. So any sidewalks or streets or alleys still has to have an additional ordinance.
Have any questions on this one?
If we were to pass an ordinance covering rights of way in city streets, should we avoid this process?
I don't think the state would accept that.
I think we'll keep doing this for perpetuity, so.
That was the goal of passing that, was to skip this step.
They can have it in the parking lot. They just can't have it anywhere around there
Okay, well.
with
make
that
progress.
ordinance.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any commission discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to roll call vote. Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Koloff,
Aye.
Commissioner Lytle,
Yes.
Commissioner Meisenberg,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carries. Our next item is 8B, consider approval of ordinance number 26-3487, an ordinance authorizing the consumption of alcoholic liquor in a specified portion of the public alley between North Broadway Street and North Spruce Street in Abilene, Kansas, and approving the temporary closure of the alley in connection with certain special events hosted by Rackets Tap House, Inc. City Clerk Moore.
Mayor and the Commissioners, kind of along the same line, this is so that the alcohol can cross the public alley between Rackets and the Little Lake Park and city parking lot.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 26-3487.
I'll second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any commission discussion? Seeing none, would you roll call vote? Commissioner Koloff,
Aye.
Commissioner Lytle,
Yes.
Commissioner Meisenberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carries. Our next item is 8C, consider approval of resolution number 082-426-1, a resolution authorizing the preparation and submittal of an application to the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation, KHRC, for the Kansas Housing Investor Tax Credit, HITC program.
Good afternoon. Ross Vogel with Heartland Housing Partners has been working with Andy Gilmore recently to purchase 5 additional lots in the Golden Belt Heights East subdivision. As stated here in the agenda request is the 5 lots that we have received lot purchase agreements for. So they are preparing to submit an application to KHRC for the Kansas Housing Investor Tax Credit Program. That application requires a resolution of support from the City Commission, as the city has provided in the past for this developer. Andy Gilmore is in attendance today to discuss the project scope, the program, and the projected timeline if you have questions with that. And we just ask that you approve resolution 082426-1, offering support for Gilmore Homes LLC's application for the HITC program.
Thank you. And Andy, if you want to feel free, or if you have anything to add.
I was just going to say, Commission, thank you for the opportunity to continue to invest and build homes in the Abilene community. We've been able to build 6 homes so far out there and looking forward to building 5 more. The timeline on that would be to get the project started and then sell those and build continuously as those 5 projects get built and then sold. So
With the builds out there, that these additional 5, would they be similar in scope to the
yeah,
existing one?
similar scope, 2-bed, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,400 square feet, 2-stall attached garage.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your consideration.
Have any questions for staff or Andy?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 082426-1, resolution authorizing the preparation and submittal of an application to the Kansas Housing Resource Corporation for the Kansas Housing Investor Tax Credit Program.
I'll second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any commission discussion? Seeing none, would you roll call vote? Commissioner Lytle,
Yes.
Commissioner Meisenberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Koloff.
Aye.
Myself, yes, motion carries. Our next item is 8D, update regarding 2028 and 2029 KDOT C-CLIP grant applications. Public Works Director Anderson.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I think you may have all got a handout also, but this is just information for future C-CLIP projects on K15/Buckeye. So in what we did back in the spring is KDOT engineers came out of Topeka and the local district levels. We have actually applied for 2 projects. We applied for the second time for the 5th through 8th Street surface preservation project. It was denied for the second time. And then we applied for the North project from the North city limits, roughly about 2400 Avenue, through the underneath of the interstate to equal to the eastbound on and off ramps. That project was approved in for the fiscal year 29 for the state. So that's how far out we have to think ahead on these projects. That being said, the project estimate for that North project is $1.84 million. KDOT has said that they will fund on a 90-10 split of the 1.5 million for that total project. So our cost for the city, roughly estimated at this time, is approximately $340,652. Now, this is another level of C-CLIP project than what we've applied for in the past, just so everyone, this is a pavement restoration, which means it's a little bit more in depth. KDOT has control of the project and the engineering, and it's just a lot more involved, thus the more money that they throw in. Our local engineer would be responsible for project design yet, but after that, KDOT takes it over and approves the design, and KDOT is the one inspecting, and it's all part of it. So what we're looking at here today is an approval to get a form started and signed and get sent back into the state. The turnaround time on us accepting the project is very short. September 1st is when it has to be back in their hands for us to proceed. So I'd like to take care of this today if you're willing to accept the project and move forward, which I think it's obviously needed in my opinion. Basically, I think I think there was like 32 projects accepted in the state and like 8 of them in north central Kansas. The application process of how this goes is you're actually in competition with other cities for the same money. They put together the projects, they take into the needs, the vicinities, what it ties into. And so that's the reason we may not have drew for the first project again. But I truly believe that maybe the interstate intersection up there had a lot of pulling power for getting the second one accepted in our favor. So
would there be any adjustments to that? I guess that roadway up there. So there have been
it's
talks
very
about.
possible. So the district engineer was on site with me, and I made mention, and I don't know in what degree, but hopefully in the design phasing, that they're going to look at removing some of them islands up there in the front, and you still have to protect the interstate barricades and stuff. And then I'm trying to get the island on the south side of those ramps. That's just kind of a flat island everybody drives over right now, removed. And if not, I'm trying my best to do what I can to get KDOT permission to remove that island no matter what happens with the project.
With shortening that existing island,
Mhm.
protecting.
Yeah,
the-
so what would be up in front of the what I still refer to as the Hill Dairy Queen and the KDOT building, those islands hopefully will be removed, and they can put more of a turn lane radius center in there.
Yeah, that's what
I think that's what
getting at
the
there.
initial plan was during discussion phases, but how that will play out will be yet to be seen.
Those islands are always the first to go also. They start
Yeah.
going.
Can you remind me which projects we have ahead of this?
Like this 29 project?
Yeah.
None, just the current project that we're working on right now that's taking place.
Okay.
So we applied for a project 2 years ago, and then we did not get that project. That would have been the 5th through 8th Street. And then we applied again this year. So, and we got one of the two. You're allowed to put in for one each calendar year. So this would have been 28 and 29. So we didn't draw a project in 28. We drew this 29 project. So here in another year or so, we'll already have to be thinking about calendar year 30 and 31, which brings the story to what I'm going to try and do with 5th to 8th Street. That is, in my opinion, needs something. If we don't do something, we're going to end up losing the base, and it's going to be a more. I don't know why. I'm sure it's a competition situation with other cities and what they feel the need of it is. But I'm going to have to do something. At this point, I'm going to have to probably spend street sales tax money that I really don't want to spend on a road that generally the state provides some money for that. But in order to cap or seal that, I'm going to have to probably do something or come up with some kind of funds to do some kind of treatment to that to make it last a little longer, long term.
Right, as I'm looking at this project, I guess I think it's fine, but it's also far from one of the priorities. You know what I mean? I'm looking around here, I'm probably the only one that uses that stretch from the interstate up north. I mean, it's just a.
Well, what the KDOT looks at, it's an arterial route into town.
Sure.
It does get quite a bit of daily traffic. It gets grain trucks out of Nebraska that run it daily. I do think maybe improvement of around the interstate area. I mean, it's got some shows of spalling going on in areas, especially directly underneath the interstate ramps, which is why the overpasses, I should say. That's why I wanted to include it. The thing is, we're still, like I said, we're in 26 right now. We're still 2 years away from getting something done. And I look for it to only continue to slowly deteriorate. You do have to plan ahead long-term. And with the KDOT funds, you're looking at basically repairing their section of roadway. So you pick and choose the worst of the worst. So
Again, this might be incorrect, but my feeling is that basically everything south of the interstate is really where we need, from 14th Street to the interstate is really where we need the attention.
yeah, and those have gotten done recently I think more recently than that north stretch has from the last time. Of course, they include the 21st Street project that took place in there when those improvements were done. And I don't remember I had some information at one point when that took place, but yeah, I mean, next phasing, I got to look ahead to those sections. Any other questions?
Want to clarify that we're asking the commission to authorize the mayor and appropriate staff to execute the necessary project programming request. But just to be clear that certifies that sufficient local funds are or will be available in that year. So you've got a couple years to build it up. As Brad said, it's a 90-10 split. So the city shares approximately $340,000 of a $1.8 million project.
I guess that's really, kind of what I was angling at is that if we're going to spend, I mean, it looks like potentially we could spend as little as 10%, which would be $150,000 if the project comes in at 1.65, right? We're responsible for, the numbers are close there anyway, but the actual project that you've got projected is 1.84. So we're basically covering the spread over the 1.5. Correct?
And so this project's basically viewed a little more favorably with, funding wise, because in the past we've coupled two of the $400,000 project.
Yeah.
This is more favorable because of the interstate system there and all the interchanges, all of that.
Yeah, it's a scoring system. And so, yeah, they take all that into account.
How would you anticipate that would be funded?
I believe what I'm trying to do is set aside money that comes from reimbursement out of the federal fund exchange. And we've got some money built up in that right now, and that's in the special street. We have a specific line item under federal fund exchange or what we call KDOT funds, because KDOT does give a reimbursement at approximately around $80,000 a year. And what I have to do is turn in known proven work receipts that we have completed in town and turn that into KDOT. And then in reality, they're reimbursing you even on local street projects, just like what's going on in town right now. And over the last couple of years, I've been able to turn in receipts that exceed that 80,000 definitely. But and the funny thing is on that, you even get reimbursed back again on C-CLIP qualifying projects. So not only, in fact, two of them last projects, right when I got here, were refunds from the last C-CLIP projects, because you can claim, if the dollar amount is high enough, you can claim up to 2 years on them. So I reclaimed like $160,000 on a KDOT funded project to begin with. So our share of the money that was probably put in, we probably got that back.
I guess my concern is I'd like to see it us closer to that 10% rather than 340. I mean, we're essentially just fixing a really high intensity area for the interstate. Obviously they're recognizing that in the $1.5 million award, but I'd like to keep our exposure closer to that 10%.
The city is also part of a connecting links agreement with KDOT. And that would include from the north city limits to the south city limits. So as part of that agreement where we receive approximately $36,000 a year in funds to maintain K-15 from that section, we're required to maintain it. So that we maintain it and do those improvements in 28, 29 with this grant, or if the commission decides to pass on this, you're still going to be required to maintain that and keep it up because of that connecting links agreement that you're a party to.
Yeah, and that 36,000 goes for anything that takes place on Buckeye/K-15 throughout any, it includes snow removal costs, expenses, traffic signal costs and expenses, repairing pavement or anything that's going on that stretch. That's our reimbursement saying that the city's taking care of it. So just like you said, an agreement.
And I'm pretty sure it was included in here, but I can't find it now. Just quickly, when was the bid letting for that scheduled or estimated to take place? Was that included in there? I may be thinking of a different, I'm trying to look for it real quick. Is it
March of 2028.
March of 28? Okay. I remember reading it, but there it is, yeah.
Also an opportunity in the next couple of years as the KDOT budget settles out and they award projects and don't award them. A similar project at I-70 and US 281, a city was $1.5 million grant for a $2 million project. They had to cover anything above the 1.5, but then KDOT came in and said, hey, we have some extra funds. So let's do some extra work and we'll cut down your cost. Not saying that'll happen here, but you've got a couple of years to either try to maximize that, get a little farther south, or to reduce your cost, depending on how they're doing. Could also go the other way. State's broke again, and but then you're locked in at this 340.
I don't think we're locked in at that, right? I mean, it would be subject to bid, and I think of that bid, if I'm looking at the right paper here, about 300 of that is just projected inflation. So,
correct. And you can also, this is a little different where KDOT will do the bid letting, go through the bids, and then we will bring a recommendation. And the commission at that time still has the opportunity to reject all bids and say, we're just not going to do it.
so we've got a couple chances to see what this is going to look like.
Yeah, I'd be, I guess with that, especially needing it prior to September 1st, I'd be fine moving forward with it now. That way we can get it in process and make sure we don't miss out on it.
Same with a couple exits available to us. I don't see any reason why we couldn't continue with the paperwork.
Another exit would be an branch.
What do you need from us today, Brad?
Approval to proceed with signing the form 1302, which basically is a programming request with a city, someone representing the city saying we're going to go ahead and proceed with applying and getting everything to accept the project.
I will make a motion to approve the KDOT project programming request for the K-15 pavement restoration project and authorize the mayor and city staff to execute necessary documents.
I'll say it.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any commission discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to roll call vote. Commissioner Meisenberg,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Koloff,
Aye.
Commissioner Lytle,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carries. Under department reports, I know Kelly is going to give a quick presentation.
Very excited about that. Might be saving the rest.
We're just talking about you, don't worry.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Let me just a moment while I get my screen sharing here. Oh, make me do something in the back. Okay, we're just wanting to take the opportunity to show you what we have been working on to create some transparency and also give all information kind of in one place that's easy to find for people. So why? Everything goes well and you think it will. There we go. Okay. So what we have on our website is we've been trying to do a really good job of putting information out where it's easily accessible. So we have a variety of ways that we're doing that, but the one that we primarily want to highlight today are some project pages that we have that we've started. So to back up just a little, a year ago this month, we started our Direct from City Hall newsletters. Those are twice a month. They're intentionally published the Friday after commission meetings because we do have a commission recap at the bottom that puts things kind of in a easy summary that's different than minutes. It really helps people see at a glance what those items were about. Part of those newsletters then cover anything from, there's a billing change coming up that somebody did a really fantastic professional development, or there's road work coming up, and there's a whole array of things. And it's all in one newsletter, easy to scan so that you're not clicking on a variety of articles or having to go find things in meeting minutes, things like that. So we have those saved under our city news link. All of those are archived here. And then you're able to actually search by keywords as well. So if you're looking for just something about the swimming pool, for example, you can just search pool. It'll show any additions that an article was in there about the pool. So we have all of our additions here, including their titles, so you can see exactly what those articles were in that edition. So the new thing that we've added is here on the right, we have city projects and updates. Currently, we have 3 projects highlighted: our sports complex improvements, our 2026 street improvement projects, and the industrial park development. So the one that Mr. Quinde wanted us to highlight the most today are the street improvement projects. We put a whole plethora of information out here in one place. So in here, we just talk about the fact that through the remainder of the year, there will be several projects going on. So to expect those. Those start dates can be difficult to track down sometimes, get that information out to people. So it's really good to be able to have a one-stop shop place to be able to look for that. So down below then, a couple different ways to see that information. One is with an interactive map. So if you're someone that likes to be able to see, I don't know where this road really is in Abilene, I'm not sure, then you can click and find it. We have them here. Clicking on each one then will highlight what that project is that's going to be occurring there. And start times can vary. We'll do our best to put start times out here. But the idea is really for people to have one place to be able to say, I remember there being something about some road construction going on or things like that. And they can go here and look at it. They can also just click if they're wanting to know what our major projects are. It is all highlighted, each one of these highlighted down below. It includes what area of that roadway is going to be worked, what the project is, kind of an explanation of what that means. So, we hear things like mill and overlay. What does that really mean? And so we highlight that on here. Transparency factors being who the contractor is, which is always good for the public to know when they see those trucks and things around. And then kind of what the funding was for that, what that cost us. So all that information is detailed out here. We go down even as far as our road striping. So there was a lot of road striping, if anybody noticed, over the last week and a half or so. And so it spells out what areas were done there. And so it's just a really great resource to be able to see all that information. We're hopeful that it's useful and that it helps people to keep up to date on all of those things. So I do encourage people to go take a look at all of this. We even have renderings of what the sports complex is going to look like. We keep that's not the good one, sorry. On the sports complex page, we also pull in, so you're not having to click around and find. If there's an article in a newsletter that talks about the sports complex, it'll also be under the project updates here. So you're not having to go back and forth. So the information's already there. It's a simple link. So why not put it on that page too? So that's the idea there. You can also sign up to receive notification when these newsletters are posted. They're put on Facebook too, but not everybody is on social media, and we all know what those nude feeds look like, and you don't always see it in a timely fashion. So on our website, we have a subscribe button, and there you can subscribe for a variety of things, but one of the most important is being our news flash or stay connected section. And that's where anything that we post on our website as what we call a news flash, which appears on the front of the website, just right down here. You'll get a notification. If you prefer email, text, you can sign up for whichever. And then you'll receive our newsletters, as well as even things like we have a water service interruption. Things like that will all be out there. So in addition to that, our website, we're trying to just make everything easy to find, easy to understand. So just keep kind of going back to it. It's intended to be the main hub for us. So social media and things is just our way of getting further reach, but everything should come back here and be easy to find. So we do have up at the top advisories and notices. So we put some things up there that we want people to kind of notice right off the bat and remember that that's out there. Because anytime someone hears I'm not supposed to be watering, they're wondering, where was that information? How do I know exactly what time that was? It's just right there for them. And then further down below, we do have our calendar of public meetings and holiday closures. But we also feed in the CVB's events calendar, which is really great. So again, you're not having to go back out. We always encourage you to visit the CVB page. She has a lot of great information out there. But this is also just a nice way to bring all that into one place. And then further below, we have our Connect with Us. So we have other departments that have their own standalone Facebook pages. They post a lot of great information out there. And it's always fun to follow and see that. And so you can keep up to date on it here, toggle between the pages, and you can also just go straight out to Facebook and follow them from there. So we're always open to any other suggestions that anybody may have. If they feel like there's a good place for some education pieces on here, that's really a big goal. We want to educate and keep people informed. And our website is really our best tool for that. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Tracking traffic as well on there?
I'm not, analytics, I will admit, is not my strongest point. We do have some Google Analytics on here. We get a decent amount of traffic on it. Really, I think our biggest strong point is if we can get subscribers, because that information is coming directly to them. So, you know, at the end of the day, this is the place that if somebody's curious, I mean, they're not going to come to it all the time. It's not, you know, a trendy place to go to hang out on the internet, but at least we know that it's there and that they can find the information easily. So the analytics to me can be a little misleading in that way. But I really think that if they can sign up for those notifications, that's going to be our strongest ways to stay engaged with them. Any other questions?
I think it's fantastic. I love all the information that you're putting on there. It's informational, it's educational. It stops a lot of the Facebook chatter, and it's tracked. Here's the website. Go take a look. It's posted.
Yep.
So I commend you. I think you're doing an excellent job.
Okay, well, great.
Thank
you. Again, open to any suggestions ever. If you're getting a lot of questions, let us know and we can certainly put something together. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other additions with the department reports? Okay. Okay, if we have nothing further, I'd consider a motion to adjourn with our, I guess I can do it. I would make a motion to adjourn our regular meeting with the study session beginning at 5:30 at City Hall.
I'll second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we have any commission discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to roll call vote. Vice Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Koloff,
Aye.
Commissioner Lytle,
Yes.
Commissioner Weisenberg,
Yes.
myself, yes. Motion carries. We are adjourned.